Your Ford is bleeding money right now, and you don't even know it. I am not talking about major repairs or catastrophic failures. I am talking about simple maintenance shortcuts that save hundreds or even thousands of dollars over the life of your vehicle. Tricks that take minutes to perform, but that almost nobody does. I have been working on Fords for over 15 years, and the most frustrating thing I see is owners spending big money on problems that were completely preventable. Not because they are lazy, but because nobody ever showed them these maintenance hacks. Today we are covering 5 Ford maintenance hacks that most owners completely ignore. Hack number 3 alone can save you over $1,200 in brake repairs, and I have personally used it on every Ford I have owned. Hack number 1 is something Ford dealerships will never tell you because it directly cuts into their service revenue. These are not complicated procedures. These are simple, practical steps that any Ford owner can do with basic tools or no tools at all. Let's get into it. Hack number 5, cleaning your throttle body every 30,000 miles. This is one of the most overlooked maintenance items on any Ford, and ignoring it is costing you fuel economy, smooth idle quality, and long-term engine health. Your throttle body controls how much air enters the engine. Over time, a film of oil vapor, carbon residue, and dirt accumulates on the throttle plate and the bore walls. This buildup restricts airflow and confuses the engine's computer because the throttle position sensor readings no longer match actual airflow volume. The symptoms start subtly. You may notice a slightly rough idle when sitting at a red light. The engine might hesitate for a split second when you press the gas from a stop. Fuel economy drops by 1 to 2 miles per gallon, but it happens so gradually that you never notice the change. Most owners blame old spark plugs or bad fuel, but the throttle body is the real culprit in a huge percentage of these cases. Here is the hack. Every 30,000 miles, remove the air intake tube that connects to the throttle body. On most Ford trucks and SUVs, this is held on by a simple hose clamp you can loosen with a flathead screwdriver or an 8mm socket. With the tube removed, you can see the throttle plate directly. Spray a quality throttle body cleaner onto the plate and the bore walls while you manually open the throttle plate with your finger. Use a clean microfiber cloth to wipe away the black gunk that dissolves. You will be shocked at how much buildup comes off, even on engines with relatively low mileage. The entire process takes about 10 minutes and a $6 can of throttle body cleaner. Compare that to a dealership throttle body service that runs $80 to $150 for the exact same procedure. Over 150,000 miles of ownership, you are likely to do 4 or 5 cleanings that cost you roughly $30 total in supplies versus $400 to $750 at the dealer. But the real savings come from the problems you prevent. A dirty throttle body forces the engine computer to constantly compensate by adjusting fuel trim values. That rich running compensation wastes fuel and accelerates carbon buildup on intake valves, especially on direct injection EcoBoost engines where carbon deposits are already a known issue. Keeping the throttle body clean maintains proper airflow, keeps fuel trims in the normal range, and reduces the conditions that lead to expensive carbon cleaning services down the road. One important safety note for electronic throttle bodies, which is what every modern Ford uses. Never force the throttle plate open with excessive pressure, and never spray cleaner directly into the intake while the engine is running. Both actions can damage the throttle position sensor or cause a hydro-lock situation. Clean it with the engine off, the air intake disconnected, and with gentle hand pressure on the plate. After cleaning, start the engine and let it idle for a few minutes. It may idle rough at first while the computer relearns the new airflow values. Within 5 to 10 minutes of driving, everything normalizes, and you will immediately notice a smoother, idle, and crisper throttle response. Hack number 4, replace your cabin air filter yourself. This is the single easiest maintenance item on any Ford, yet dealerships charge $60 to $90 to do it. The filter itself costs $12 to $20 at any auto parts store. Swapping it takes less than 2 minutes and requires 0 tools on most models. Your cabin air filter cleans the air that comes through your heating and air conditioning system. When it is clogged, the blower motor has to work harder to push air through the restriction. That reduces airflow into the cabin, makes your air conditioning less effective, and puts unnecessary strain on the blower motor. A blower motor replacement runs $200 to $400 on most Fords. Keeping the cabin filter clean extends blower motor life significantly. On F-150s from 2015 and newer, the cabin air filter is located behind the glove box. Open the glove box, squeeze the sidewalls inward to release the glove box stops, and the entire glove box will drop down. Behind it, you will see a rectangular cover held in place by clips or a small tab. Pop that cover off. Slide out the old filter and slide in the new one. Close the cover, push the glove box back up, and you are done. On Explorers, Escapes, and most Ford SUVs, the location is similar, behind the glove box with the same basic access procedure. Some older models have the filter under the dashboard on the passenger side, accessible by removing a small panel. Your owner's manual or a quick search for your specific model and year will show the exact location. Ford recommends you replace the cabin filter every 15,000 to 20,000 miles, but if you drive on dirt roads, live in a dusty area, or frequently drive in heavy traffic, replace it every 10,000 miles. A clogged cabin filter in summer forces your air conditioning compressor to run longer cycles to cool the cabin, which increases fuel consumption and accelerates compressor wear. Air conditioning compressor replacement on a Ford costs $600 to $1,200. Spending $15 on a filter twice a year to protect a $1,200 compressor is one of the smartest investments you can make. The other thing most owners do not realize is that a neglected cabin air filter becomes a breeding ground for mold and bacteria. That musty smell when you first turn on the air conditioning is almost always a dirty cabin filter harboring organic growth. This is especially problematic for people with allergies or respiratory issues. A fresh filter eliminates that smell immediately and improves air quality inside the vehicle. If you are enjoying these Ford maintenance hacks, go ahead and hit that like button now and make sure you are subscribed, because hack number 3 is a game changer that could save you over $1,000 in brake repairs. Hack number 3. Lubricate your brake caliper slide pins at every brake pad change. This hack is what separates Ford owners who get 60,000 miles from a set of brakes, from owners who burn through pads every 25,000 miles. Almost nobody does it because nobody tells them to. Your brake calipers float on 2 slide pins that allow the caliper to center itself over the rotor when you apply the brakes. These pins are protected by rubber boots and coated in high-temperature silicone grease from the factory. Over time, that grease dries out, road salt and moisture work past the boots, and the pins begin to corrode and stick. When a slide pin sticks, the caliper cannot float properly. One brake pad contacts the rotor while the other barely touches it. This creates uneven pad wear, where one pad wears down to metal while the other still has plenty of material left. The stuck caliper also generates excessive heat because the pad drags against the rotor even when you are not braking. This warps the rotor, creates pulsation in the brake pedal, and destroys pads at an accelerated rate. I have seen Ford trucks come into the shop with inner pads worn to bare metal at 20,000 miles while the outer pads still had 6 millimeters of material. The owner had no idea because the vehicle still stopped, just not evenly. The repair bill for new pads, rotors, and a caliper rebuild on one axle runs $400 to $600 at a shop. Both axles, and you are looking at $800 to $1,200. Now multiply that by happening every 25,000 miles instead of every 60,000 miles, and you are spending thousands more over the life of the vehicle than you should be. The hack is dead simple. Every time you change brake pads or have them changed, remove the caliper slide pins from their bores. Clean off the old grease and any corrosion with a wire brush or a clean rag. Inspect the rubber boots for cracks or tears and replace them if they are damaged. Apply fresh, high-temperature silicone brake grease to each pin and reinstall them. The grease costs about $5 for a tube that will last years. The entire process adds maybe 15 minutes per axle to a brake job. If you are having a shop do the work, specifically ask them to clean and lube the slide pins. Many quick service shops skip this step because it takes extra time and they are trying to move cars through as fast as possible. If they will not do it, find a shop that will. This single step doubles the life of your brake pads and rotors, eliminates uneven wear, prevents caliper seizure, and keeps your braking performance consistent and predictable. On Ford trucks in particular, the front calipers are exposed to road spray, salt, and debris that accelerate pin corrosion. Trucks driven in northern states with heavy winter salt use should have the slide pins lubricated every 20,000 miles, even between brake pad changes. The rear calipers on Ford trucks with integrated parking brake mechanisms are especially prone to sticking, because the parking brake adds another potential failure point. Lubricating those slide pins and exercising the parking brake regularly prevents the rear calipers from seizing, which is a common and expensive problem on F-150s and Super Duties. Hack number 2, drain and refill your coolant overflow reservoir. Most Ford owners know about coolant flushes, but almost nobody maintains the coolant overflow reservoir between flush intervals. This plastic reservoir sits next to the radiator and holds excess coolant that flows back and forth as the system heats up and cools down. Over time, sediment scale and degraded coolant additives settle to the bottom of this reservoir. The reservoir develops a layer of brownish sludge that contaminates fresh coolant flowing through the system. This contaminated coolant reduces the effectiveness of corrosion inhibitors that protect your radiator, heater core, water pump, and engine passages from internal corrosion. On Ford trucks with aluminum engine blocks and heads, which includes every EcoBoost engine, coolant that has lost its corrosion protection attacks aluminum surfaces aggressively. The corrosion creates tiny particles that circulate through the cooling system, scoring water pump seals and clogging heater core passages. A heater core replacement on an F-150 runs $800 to $1,500 because the entire dashboard must be removed to access it. A water pump replacement on an EcoBoost runs $400 to $900 depending on the engine. The hack takes about 10 minutes and costs nothing. Locate the coolant overflow reservoir in your engine bay. On most Fords, it is a translucent white plastic tank on the passenger side with high and low markings. With the engine completely cool, remove the reservoir cap. Some reservoirs have a drain plug at the bottom. If yours does, place a drain pan underneath, remove the plug, and let the old coolant drain out. If there is no drain plug, you can use a turkey baster or a small hand pump to suck the old coolant out from the top. Either way, once the reservoir is empty, fill it with clean distilled water, swish it around to loosen sediment, then drain it again. Repeat until the water comes out clean. Then refill with the correct Ford coolant to the appropriate level between the minimum and maximum marks. Ford uses a specific orange motorcraft coolant in most modern vehicles. Do not mix coolant types because incompatible coolants can gel and clog your entire cooling system, which turns a free maintenance hack into a $2,000 cooling system overhaul. Perform this reservoir drain and refill every 12 months or every 15,000 miles between full coolant flushes. It keeps your coolant cleaner, maintains corrosion protection longer, and extends the life of every component in the cooling system. Before we reveal the number 1 hack, if you are finding this valuable, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell. Your engagement helps other Ford owners discover these money-saving maintenance tips. Hack number 1, performing a transmission fluid drain and fill instead of paying for a full flush. This is the hack Ford dealerships absolutely do not want you to know because it directly replaces their most profitable service upsell. A full transmission flush at a Ford dealership costs $250 to $400. They hook up a machine that cycles all the fluid out and replaces it with fresh fluid. It sounds thorough, and it is, but here is what they do not tell you. A simple drain and fill accomplishes 80% of what a full flush does at a fraction of the cost. And in many cases, it is actually safer for your transmission. When you drain transmission fluid from the pan, approximately 40 to 50% of the total fluid volume drains out. The rest stays in the torque converter and in the cooler lines. You refill with fresh fluid, drive for a few hundred miles to let the new fluid mix with the old, and then you drain and fill again. After 2 drain and fill cycles, you have replaced roughly 75 to 80% of the total fluid volume. The cost for doing this yourself is about $30 to $50 for Motorcraft Mercon L5 or Mercon ULV fluid, depending on your transmission. Even having a shop do a basic drain and fill runs $100 to $150, which is still significantly cheaper than a full flush. But cost is not the only advantage. Full transmission flushes push fluid through the system under pressure, and that can dislodge debris and contaminants from internal passages. On transmissions with high mileage and fluid that has never been changed, this dislodged debris can clog valve body passages and solenoids, causing shift problems or complete transmission failure. I have seen it happen multiple times. For example, an owner brought in a truck with 120,000 miles and the original transmission fluid. The dealer performed a full flush, and within 2,000 miles, the transmission started slipping and needed a rebuild. The flush did not cause the damage directly, but it mobilized debris that had been settled harmlessly and pushed it into critical components. A drain and fill avoids this risk entirely because you are not forcing fluid through the system under pressure. You are simply letting gravity drain what comes out, replacing it, and letting normal driving circulate the fresh fluid gradually. This gentle approach is much safer for transmissions with unknown service history or high mileage. On Ford 10-speed transmissions, in F-150s, Mustangs, and Explorers, the drain and fill procedure is straightforward. The transmission pan has a drain plug, so you do not need to remove the pan. Place a drain pan underneath, remove the plug, let the fluid drain completely, reinstall the plug, and add fresh fluid through the dipstick tube or the fill port. Check the fluid level according to Ford's procedure, which on many newer models requires the fluid to be at a specific temperature range for an accurate reading. For older Fords with the 6R80 6-speed transmission, the process is equally simple. The drain plug on the pan lets you drain fluid without removing the pan or dropping the filter. If you are at 60,000 miles or more, pulling the pan and replacing the filter at the same time is smart preventive maintenance. The filter costs $15 to $25 and takes an additional 20 minutes. Ford recommends transmission fluid service at 150,000 miles under normal conditions and 60,000 miles under severe conditions. Here is what Ford considers severe: towing, hauling, frequent stop-and-go driving, driving in dusty conditions, and driving in temperatures above 90 degrees. That covers the majority of real-world driving for most truck owners. If you tow regularly, change the transmission fluid every 50,000 to 60,000 miles. The transmission is the second most expensive component in your vehicle after the engine. A rebuild runs $3,500 to $6,000 on a 10-speed. Regular drain and fill services costing $30 to $50 in fluid are the cheapest insurance policy you will ever buy for that transmission. For owners who have never changed their transmission fluid and have over 80,000 miles, start with a single drain and fill. Drive 500 miles, then do another drain and fill. This gradual approach refreshes the fluid without shocking the system. Repeat a third time if the fluid is still dark. 3 drain and fills with 500 miles between each one replaces approximately 90% of the total fluid volume at a total cost of about $90 to $150 in fluid. Compare that to a $400 dealer flush and you are saving $250 or more while actually being gentler on your transmission. These 5 hacks aren't complicated. They don't require expensive tools or advanced mechanical knowledge. What they require is awareness that these maintenance steps exist and the discipline to actually do them. These are simple, high-value changes you can make yourself. Ford designs vehicles to be serviced at dealerships, and dealership pricing reflects overhead, labor rates, and profit margins that make simple maintenance expensive. Taking ownership of these basic procedures saves you hundreds per year and thousands over the life of your Ford. Take an afternoon this weekend and work through this list. Clean that throttle body, swap the cabin filter, check your brake caliper pins at your next pad change, drain the coolant reservoir, and start a drain and fill schedule for your transmission. Do each task carefully and follow basic safety precautions. If you found this helpful, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and drop a comment telling me which hack you're going to try first. Share this video with other Ford owners who are tired of overpaying for basic maintenance. I'll see you in the next one.